Coaching in Session,
your exclusive destination for unparalleled personal and professional growth.
With your host, Michael Rearden.
Whether you choose to live within limits or break free, your mindset journey begins here.
There comes a time when you have to say no to something. There is a power to yes, but then there is also a power to no. No can be one of those words where you feel as if it is a negative term, because if someone says no to you, it could be a bad thing. If someone gives you this idea that they can't or that you can't do something, it could be a limiting belief. So no does have some negative connotations to it, but no can also be a powerful tool in our personal development gain. And this idea is we can use no to set boundaries properly. I think back of when I had to go to this party, and the guy I respect greatly, and it was just a wrong time for me. I had just finished traveling, the family was sick, and on the day I would get no sleep, and it'll be such a quick turnaround where I had to rush there to here, and before you know it, I would have been burned out. So I had to make the executive decision to say, you know what? I'm not going to go to this party. Even though I respected the individual, even though it would have been a great time with great people, I would have been able to network and communicate with so many wonderful people and catch up with people I might have not seen in some time. And it would have been a overall joyous experience. I could have, bit the bullet and I could have said, I'm going to go. But I knew me saying no to that party was me saying yes to me. This is challenging to understand because how can no mean yes to some degree? Because if I say no to drugs, am I being negative all of a sudden? We know drugs and alcohol can have a detrimental effect to someone's personal growth and development. So I'm saying yes to me when I'm saying no to some substance abuses. But when I'm saying no to somebody, especially the wrong person, they can flip the script so quickly and so easily and saying, well, I guess you don't care about me. I guess you don't want to be my friend anymore, right? We can have those people that say something to our no or to say something to our negativity. But the reality is our no can be proper. And so we're going to be looking at this article, Power of Saying No, Setting Boundaries for Personal Growth. And in this article, we're going to be learning why boundaries are so crucial and then how to set boundaries. Because boundaries are crucial because they're going to help protect your time. They're going to help prevent you from burnout. They're going to help foster healthy relationships. And they're also going to help you focus on your goals. But we need to have some steps to get started. The first step is we need to know your limits, where you are right now. We need to be clear and direct when we're saying no. We need to practice self-compassion, not just for others, but for ourselves, because we need to say no without guilt. Then we have to give this idea of we might not say no to big things today. We might say no to small things. Do you want fries with your milkshake and your hamburger? You say, no, thank you. All right, we don't need the extra calories. And then we are going to stay firm, especially when we are presented with a person who's adamant about getting a yes from us. So these areas are going to be our main focus in learning why no can be a powerful tool for our personal growth. No can also be something that we don't want in our life, right? We could think of New Year's resolutions and how we are going down this path of saying yes to ourselves. Typically, you're saying yes to yourself when you're in the realm of the New Year time, right? Personal development, personal growth, motivation, discipline, they all reside around the New Year time. And most people, they're going to be giving themselves this idea or this vision that they're going to be doing something grandiose in the next couple of months. Well, every single day they wake up, maybe they go to the gym. They said yes to themselves that day. Not yes to the gym, they said yes to themselves. They said yes to personal development. And then the next week, they say yes, the same thing. And then next week, they say yes half the times. And then eventually, it turns to all no's. And then eventually, it just turns to I'll do it next time or next year. So the no's are something we are so readily willing to sweep under the rug or to throw away for another day. It's not something that people are like, hey, I'm saying no and it's going to empower me. People are not empowered by no all the time. They're empowered by yes. It's easier to be empowered by yes because yes has a positive nature to it. The brain loves that endorphin of yes, yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll do this. But then again, the yeses can be a hidden no. If someone asks you to do their work for the umpteenth time and they can do it themselves, that yes can be a gravestone for you in that work environment. You're going to get burned out. You're not protecting your time because maybe they leave at 5 o'clock, but you leave at 6 o'clock because you have an extra workload. So you're not protecting your time and you're now burning out from your work. All of these things are not fostering a healthy relationship with yourself and with others. You need to know how to set the boundaries. Well, one of the things you have to understand what no can do is it can help you with your goal. Let's say your goal is to lose some weight. And let's say you want to lose 30 pounds, right? So it's a significant amount of weight. Maybe your friends are like, hey, we're going to go drink some beers and have some pizza. Guess what? Your goal is to lose 30 pounds, not to go out for pizza and beer with your friends. Now, I'm not saying that you can't go out and enjoy time with your friends and have a beer, have a slice of pizza, right? With moderation, maybe. But maybe it's more of this idea of we're going to go out to the buffet and splurge on these things. We're going to get pints of beer and we're going to get boxes of pizza and we're going to eat it all, right? Well, if you know you're going to fall into this gluttonous phase where you need to get an Uber ride home because you had so much beer and you need to get a bib because you're going to eat so much pizzas or whatever it is, right? Like you eat all these pizzas and you're going to be a slob and you're like, oh man, I'm going to be slob tonight. I eat all of these pizzas. When I went to Connecticut this couple months back, one of the things I didn't do in Texas was have any pizza. I didn't have any pizza from the pizza parlors that are decent here in Texas. I didn't have any pizza from like the freezers or anything. Like I wanted nothing to do with pizza because I knew when I was going to Connecticut, I was going to get some pizza. And if you know anything about Connecticut, pizza capital of the world is New Haven, Connecticut. So I was like, I'm going to get some good pizza when I go to Connecticut. I don't need no mediocre pizza. I want the best of the best. And if you can say that, I want the best of the best, and you say no to everything else, imagine what you can do. Think of going to Olive Garden or think of going to the buffet. And they have expensive dishes and dishes that fill you up that are inexpensive. So when you eat the bread and you eat all of the, accoutrements, like the things that are going to be filling like muffins and bagels, and sure, it might be exactly what you want. In the scheme of what the buffet costs you, maybe $20, and depending on where you go to the buffet, maybe $100. And you're like, well, I'm just going to eat some dinner rolls. You could have went to the grocery store, got a 12-pack of Hawaiian rolls for $1.50, and you're over here spending $100 on the buffet. Understanding there's going to be things that you get during a buffet that are going to be more worthwhile in the whole scheme of can you get your money's worth? And in life, it's a very similar metaphor. Are you going to get your money's worth with the 24 hours that you were given today? Most people, they don't. Most people will allow their time to be sold for pennies on the dollar. Someone is going to distract you when you are most focused, maybe in the morning when you're supposed to be doing emails and you're supposed to be reaching clients. And all of a sudden you're over here sending text messages to your best friend about going out tonight with the girls or whatever, or hanging out with the guys, or going out to get pizza and beer, right? We could just say, hey, no, we're not going to do that right now. Maybe we just even set the boundary of saying, hey, I'm at work. We're not going to be talking about what we're doing later. If you want to text me later, sure, we can talk about that. Or maybe if we want to plan even better, we'll do it on the weekends when I'm not focused on work. So we set the boundary, we create the expectation, and then now we know that, hey, I'm not going to allow someone to just trample over my time. This is so important in the terms of your personal development and your momentum forward. And it might seem like you're being a Karen or Ken or something, like, oh man, I'm being so negative to my friends, it actually creates a healthy relationship because now they know what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do. Because if they do something that you don't like enough, eventually it's going to harm the relationship more than the conversation ever would of you saying, hey, these are the expectations, these are the boundaries. It's a no for me right now, but it doesn't mean it has to be a no forever. All right. So important for us to understand because we're looking at what we are going to accomplish in our day, the goal maybe, or just in our life, right? We're so focused, and not every person is going to be someone we're going to carry for the rest of our life. You might have a friend that you have today, but it might not be a friend that you have tomorrow. And it's not to say that they're bad people. It's just that some people, they don't want to level up. Some people, they just want to stay where they are. And sometimes you have to separate from these people. Our goals and our focus should be what we need to accomplish, not what other people can maintain and upkeep. Like, are they going to be able to keep up, with our pace? If they can't keep up with our pace, then that's on them. They're saying no to themselves. But we're saying no to the people who are going to be anchors in our life. It's a good understanding to have because we can't just allow people to hold us down for the rest of our life. So there's going to be things and there's going to be steps for how we can get started, right? So the first thing is we're going to have to, number one, identify our boundaries and set limits and create expectations, but we're also going to know our personal limits. Now, these personal limits can be anything. For example, if we know that we can't be around ice cream, maybe we're not going to say yes to going to the ice cream parlor. So we know we have to say no to every ice cream parlor or something like that. Otherwise, we know we're just going to gain 10 pounds or something, right? That could be, we know our limit. Our limit is we are powerless when it comes to the ice cream. Maybe we're powerless when it comes to the pizza or the buffet or whatever, right? We're powerless to buy brownies at the bakery or cookies at the bakery, cakes at the bakery, or going down the chip aisle at the grocery store. We're powerless to not put a bag in our grocery cart. So what do? We do not go down those grocery aisles. So we see the cakes, we go right by them. We see those chips, we go right by them. We see the ice cream and the pizzas, we go right by them because we say no to them. But we're saying yes to ourselves because we understand that in our scheme of personal development and where we want to go with our body and our life, maybe that is not appropriate at the time. And it's not to say that we can't live a little at certain times, but if you're having ice cream every single night, I think you're living a little bit too large in the scheme of, what you want that ice cream to accomplish. Is it filling a hole in yourself, a void, or is it something that you're giving yourself as a treat, right? Treats don't just happen every single moment, right? There's a journey. Now, we have to be clear and direct when we're saying no, because if we are just roundabout ways of saying no to people, they might not get it. We don't have time to be beating around the bush with people. If someone is saying, hey, are you coming to the party? There's no need to say, let me ask my wife, let me figure out if I have some time. No, we don't need to give ourselves something to do on our to-do list. Well, I have to get back to this person. And if I don't get back to this person, they're going to feel a certain way. So I'm going to have to make up another excuse 2 times rather than, no, I'm not doing this. And it's so funny because in the beginning, they might say, okay, like, I guess this person has an attitude. And sure, right? You might assume they have an attitude, but maybe they just know what they want. So they are direct. And direct can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. If you're a boss, being direct is very good. Being indirect can be very bad. If someone does something wrong, it is better to be direct, especially in a business sense or like or in a relationship, right? You want to be direct. You don't want them to even have this idea that what they did is okay and that they can do it again. If it's something that's a no-no, make it a no-no. Direct can be a good thing for your personal growth. Then we look at the self-compassion. I can't tell you how many people think that saying no to someone is selfish because you're saying yes to yourself. Well, if you had the option to empty your cup and you had nothing left, could you say that you helped a bunch of people by filling up their cup and now there's nothing for you, or now there's nothing else for the next person who needs help? This is a detriment that many people are falling into because they think that if I fill my cup and someone else fills up their cup and I help them fill up their cup even more, that they would reciprocate what I've done for them. And even though it's nice where there's some reciprocation, but the idea is if you're filling up your cup and you're emptying it, you have to do all that work by yourself to fill it up again, most likely. Of course, you can give yourself good, strong people and things like that. And maybe everyone fills up everyone's cups evenly and is overflowing and it's nice. But that's not the reality for most people. Most people, they're going to be living in a deficit in terms of what they're putting out, right? Think of the emotional bank balance, right? So every single time you put in an emotion, someone takes out an emotion. Do they have more withdrawals than deposits? And you can do the work to figure that out quite easily. Or is someone asking more than what they're giving, right? Is this relationship good? And if the relationship is not good, then you can say no to the relationship, right? You don't have to be in relationships that are not beneficial to you. And it's not beneficial to you in the terms of you're profiteering off someone, but beneficial to you of, am I still able to grow? And you're growing at a capacity where you feel comfortable growing. Not like I'm kind of growing, I'm going like at 1% and everyone else is growing at 5%. Can you be okay with that 1%? And maybe that progress is good enough for you. But again, in the terms of personal development and your growth and prosperity, 1% is not enough, especially if we want to get to our goals in our life, and especially if we want to maybe even look at our goals beyond our goals. So 1% might not be enough. Saying no to those people can be a benefit to you. And maybe it can also, again, create better relationships because they say, you know what, this person wants to go at 5% like me or something like that. Maybe they will help you, right? They learn saying, okay, this person needs this. I need this. Let's work together. This is not to say that everything that we're talking about today is going to be easy. You have to start small. Maybe your boss is asking you to do too much work. And there's a guy who is really good at his job, and I forget the book, but he is basically saying, like, to his boss, like the person who signs his checks, I can only do so much. And so he has all of these projects that he's supposed to do, 5, 10, 15 projects, and they all have due dates. It's not like you can do them whenever you want. It's like this needs to be done by next week, Friday. And so he was at capacity, and his boss came in one day, and the boss said, hey, I need you to do this project because you're the best man for the job. And rightfully so. He was skilled and he could have made the best presentation and probably had the best results out of any other employee or worker at that company. But he brought the boss over instead rather than saying yes. And he said, which of these projects would you like me to put on hold or not do? Because I'm already at capacity and I can't do this new project that you want. So either you find someone else to do this project or you tell me which project you don't want me to do. And basically the boss was set back. He was like, whoa, it was like, I didn't think of it that way. And so he found someone else to do the job. And he was able to allow the person to do all the other work that he had on his agenda. The boss wouldn't know if the person didn't say no in a way or in a fashion that would enlighten the boss. And so now the boss is more aware, the relationship is better. And now it's like we are staying firm on this idea of I'm not going to be overloaded and burned out because you're not paying attention, right? You know what you are capable of doing right now and today. You might not be able to do a lot today. And maybe with endurance and some practice, you can build yourself up to that. But you need to stay firm. And your no today is not a yes tomorrow. If your kids ask to borrow a car and it's a hard no on school nights, you're not going to say yes one night because I don't feel like driving. If my kids want me to drive them somewhere and it's late at night and I'm like, I would rather drive you than for you to go to a party and you drinking or doing something that you're not supposed to. Now there's a bigger problem. You have the car and maybe you feel as if you can still drive. This happens quite a bit, right? But if you know what can possibly happen with a yes, that means you probably did the work of what could happen with a no. Sometimes no can be a more powerful statement. No, you're not going to allow this. No, you're not going to do this. No can be the expectation. No can be the line in the sand. No can be the boundary. No can lead to personal development. And in this article here where we're talking about how the power of saying no, setting boundaries for personal growth is so important, is essentially talking about that no doesn't have to always be a negative word or this negative idea or this negative concept. It could be this starting point for you to build something upon. Of course, yes can be a powerful tool, especially like when you're building initially. But when you are building and you're growing, no can be even a more powerful tool than yes, especially when you have your empire, especially when your time is limited, especially when your focus is so primed and pristine. You are going to have to be able to say no for the things that are going to take you out of the zone. So there's going to be times when you say yes, of course, but then there's going to be times when you say no. When you say no, let it be heard, not just a whisper. Let it roar. Let it echo within someone's ears and let it vibrate throughout their body and their soul so they get a good understanding of who you are. You're a person that's not only determined for the yeses in life, you are a person that has done the work and have set the boundaries and the expectations for other people to follow. Your relationships are going to prosper because of it, and the productivity of what you can do and what you will do is going to skyrocket. There is a power in both yes and no's, and you just have to know how to use both effectively. We have articles now on both the power of yes and on the power of no. So you can go to our blog page, our blog section, or in our resources, and you can type in the power of yes or the power of no, and you can get to each article and then even to each of the podcast episodes. And of course, if that's not enough, you can always reach out to us, revenconcepts.com, get yourself some coaching and get this idea of saying no out of your head because you want to be a people pleaser or you're worried about what someone else would think. Confidence can be difficult to build, but the more you do things for yourself, the more confident you will become. And no can be maybe the most confident building word in the dictionary. Because if someone asks you to do something and you say no, and it has no emotional effect on you, on if you feel bad about saying no to that person, it could mean that you are in a state of personal development and that you're doing things that are going to help you prosper and help move you forward. So the goal or this idea of setting boundaries is not about just saying no to others. It's about saying yes to you. Say yes to yourself today.